Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have Andrew Lachlan. I'm pronouncing that right, Andrew. He's CEO at Sauna House in Asheville, North Carolina. I talked with an investor of his about a week or two ago. We had an exciting conversation. I'm quite bullish on sauna houses. I've been a user of Othership for quite some time. I have my sauna here at the house. I have my cold plunge. I'm all about breath work and music therapy. So today we're gonna talk about all of these topics. And who knows, maybe I will own a sauna house one day. Maybe not for the investment part of it, but for healing people, which is definitely a priority on this planet Earth with all the discord that's happening. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. That is my podcasting company. If you want to start or scale or monetize a podcast, go to podfire.com. It is also brought to you by our friends at Qualia Mind. I don't have the supplement near me, but I take it on a daily basis for energy, for focus. If you're a busy CEO like me, go to neurohacker.com/CEO wisdom. Andrew, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Appreciate you having me on. Uh, yeah, a little bit about me. My background, I grew up ice hockey and lacrosse player, high impact sports. I always say that I feel most at home with risk and speed. Um, Coming out of my kind of career playing sports, though, I lost like my team and my sense of purpose in my community, and I felt really confused as to which way to go next. I had always owned my own small businesses, but they were often like me or one or two other people. My first company was car washing company in high school. And after sports, I started struggling with alcoholism. Uh, and by 22, I was really in bad shape. Um, I got very lucky, and one of my friends asked me to do a psychedelic journey when I was in that time period. Uh, Within a matter of weeks, I had kind of sold my car washing book of business and all my equipment and decided to go traveling around the world. And two weeks into that trip, I just stopped drinking. So I would say there was like a first like spiritual experience for me. I was reading a lot of literature at the time and getting to experience different culture in a different world. And I stayed sober at that time for 2 years. After I got back to the States, I started another company. It was an online sunglasses company and distribution company. It launched really well, but about 6 months after we launched, I started drinking again. And unfortunately, split with my business partner and then bounced around for about 18 months drinking again. And got very lucky to get sober once again. And that time I, went to AA and did the 12 steps and spent a lot of time in the rooms. And you know, knock on wood, going on 12 years now. And very lucky to be that way. And when I found sauna and cold therapy was about 2 years after the second time I got sober. I was still struggling with some anxiety and depression, and I started using ice baths on a regular basis. And I noticed how quickly it changed my brain chemistry. And in the short term, the day you use it, the inflammation down, brain chemistry feels good. Then, like 30 days of regular use, I was like, man, I feel like really good. Um, and then I just kept using it. And, there was a period of my life like 2 years later where, I didn't have access. I was traveling a lot, didn't have access to sauna and cold therapy. And I realized like I started feeling really anxious again, and I didn't feel as good in my body and my mind. Um, and I've always been someone that eats pretty clean and exercises pretty regularly, but I really credit cold water therapy for recalibrating my brain chemistry, um, and really changing my life. And so when I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, I thought that I knew that it was pretty obvious that the US didn't have a lot of sauna industry anymore. The history is pretty, the communal bathing space, you know, has a dicey industry in the US. They took a lot of those businesses down during the AIDS epidemic and other things. They were associated with being dirty, which is pretty funny because the cities used to make people have bathhouses to clean people, and then it's kind of ironic that they were taken down for the same reason they were created. Um, and yeah, so when I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, my wife and I invested all of our personal savings into Sauna House Asheville store. About 12 months before COVID, we got open. Um, and you know, COVID was tough, but it was certainly a great teacher. So I feel lucky to have survived it, and now we're scaling the company.
Wow, hell of a story. I also have an addictive personality and have got out of alcohol mostly because I stopped hanging out with friends. My parents changed house when I was like 17 or 18 and got to distance myself from friends because it was like a national sport, you know, like who could drink the most. And
Yeah.
I guess it's like I also grew up playing hockey, not competitive like you did, but um, in Quebec we have that culture, you know, and we associate drinking with pleasure and warmth, you know, and kind of like food. Food is, yeah, used as a crutch for many people, many obese people, or people that are just addicted to eating bad food. There's a lot of addictions out there, but yeah, certainly getting away from that environment and fully diving into entrepreneurship. And yeah, even to this day, you know, like I'm quite conscious that the balance could tip over quite quickly depending on who I surround myself with and in what
Mhm.
mindset I am. So, how do you deal with that addictive personality on a daily basis, even up to this day after 12 years?
Yeah. I mean, it's still a thing for me, whether it's like the compulsion to have sugar or more caffeine or sex or all those things. I mean, how I deal with it now is like I'm not perfect, you know, like not every day do I feel like I did a great job with compulsion, I would say. Um, but definitely keeping consistent routine with physical exercise and a spiritual practice. So I think that reading philosophy of different types has been hugely impactful for me. I mean, I at the same time I got sober is like when sort of Ryan Holiday was breaking stoicism onto the scene, and Tim Ferriss had brought it up, and then Ryan wrote his first book on it, which I was a big fan of. And then um you know, so I read a lot of Stoic philosophy back in 2012, 13, 14, 15. I still read a lot of those books. And so on a daily basis, I mean, I pray, I try and meditate. You know, I do breath work at night quite often when I'm really anxious. Or I've just been like kind of going really hard and I need to like recenter my nervous system. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a daily thing. Like one, you know, in AA, they say one day at a time, and that's really the truth. Like you were talking about people, you know, and when I got sober, they were like people, places, and things. Like change them. You know, and I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Like if you don't hang out at places that serve a lot of alcohol, it's a lot easier not to drink. And if you don't hang out with people who drink, it's a lot easier to not drink. And so like the people I surround myself with now are a lot of founders, a lot of small business owners, and a lot of people who take their um, mental and physical wellness very seriously, right? Like I try and surround myself by people that I admire, really.
Right. And what role did psychedelics have into your recovery or your enlightenment?
Yeah. I mean, the first time I think I didn't even know that they had helped me. Like it was only looking back like 6 years later that I was like, oh, like maybe that was related when I took those mushrooms and then magically stopped drinking for the first time since I had started. And definitely was. You know, they're definitely an ancient, incredible,
Alien.
alien type. Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I'm the most well-versed person in psychedelic therapy. I'm really not. I'm someone that's used psychedelics from time to time. And I do think it's brought a lot of love into my life. And obviously, like the connection to nature is very real. Um, and so for me, I use them intermittently to microdose still. Um, I think there's some nice data on like brain inflammation and microdosing, and I think there's some benefits there. They're really non-addictive too, right? So like I never worry about getting addicted to them because I really like I'll have them in my fridge and totally forget that they're there and whatever, you know? So it's like for me it is a medicine, and it's a medicine that connects a lot of people to spirituality and to each other and to nature. But again, yeah, I'm certainly no expert in this space. I'm just someone who I think got lucky and um, used some of that medicine and it benefited me, you know?
Right. Like a lot of people, by the way, they stumbled
Yeah.
on it. Started recreationally, but then they discovered deep, long-lasting benefits. And I'm glad that there's a lot of organizations that are studying the benefits of psilocybin. Definitely advancing pretty quick in my native Canada, faster than in the US. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll definitely put some of my resources in that. I think they can be used for healing. Now, talking about other modalities, which are more an expert in, hot and cold breath
Yeah.
work, for example, how long does it take to reset someone? Let's say that they had a very bad day at the office, like an investor that is unhappy, a client that is unhappy, or I don't know, a fight with their wives, like how quickly can you reset yourself, and
Mhm.
what would be the modality here, the system?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think that's largely impacted by how much people have been doing meditation, breath work, and a spiritual practice, really. Because when you're emotionally disturbed like that, you tend to ruminate, and rumination is a mind that is uncontrollable. And so a physical practice like doing two 15-minute saunas and two 4 or 5 minute cold baths is a great place to start to like shut that rumination down. Now, depending, like I said, on how this person's mind is working, like that might not do anything, right? Um, for me, it would. Um, and for a lot of people I know, I think it would too. But it's funny you asked that question because not that long ago, I was talking to this kid who I knew got sober when I was at Sauna House. I was sitting in a chair, and he was talking about how he got yelled at through the screen and how it just like totally threw him off and like really wrecked him. And this is someone who is like early in sobriety, like a year or something. And he's like, so I decided to come here, you know? And I was like, I felt so happy at that moment that like we had created Sauna House as a place where like whatever is going on in the outside world, you can come in here and like there's a vibe, there's an energy. Everybody's kind of on the same plane, like they're looking to reduce suffering of mind and body, and they're doing it in a communal way together, and they're connecting. And yeah, at that moment it made me really excited to be doing what I'm doing every day.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why I'd probably get into that type of business. It's pretty huge. The impact you can have on people can literally save lives, but you will never really know.
Yeah.
Like one bad thing can lead to another, and it's a great pattern interrupter. And just changing places, right? Like just entering the place must smell good. There's like a beautiful space, the design and all of that. So yeah, it's cool work,
Yeah.
for sure. Very bullish on that industry for that reason. Now, talking about the economics, what's the plan? It's a chain, so anyone can start theirs if they are
Yeah.
willing to invest and if they have the right profile. what are your goals in terms of scaling
Yeah.
and expanding?
This is a great question, Charles. I mean, we franchised as a way to expand faster because building sauna bathing facilities correctly and to code with beautiful pools and saunas is really expensive. Our standard floor plan is about a $2.5 million investment on behalf of the franchisee. Some of our stores are $5 to $7 million in the bigger square footages. And that's very cost prohibitive for young entrepreneurs. So one of my goals is to figure out a way that I can take, people that work at the front desk at Sauna House and turn them into a general manager and then give that general manager the opportunity to own their own franchise. That's a hard problem to solve when your build outs cost, $5 to $8 million or something. Um, and so my goals with Sauna House is I want to be one of the largest bathing brands in the country. I would like to provide as many of these spaces as possible um, to increase access, and kind of like a lot of startups, like when you first, like, some of my employees are like, not everyone can afford this, Andrew. I'm like, yeah, but the YMCA is updating their saunas now because of sauna culture. And there's more people building spaces, and the more and more spaces that people build, the lower and lower the price will become, and the more and more access there'll be. And Sauna House is pretty approachable and accessible for a lot of people, but not everyone. I recognize that. Um, but my goal is to build premier spaces and be one of the industry leaders in etiquette and education, and continue to push the boundaries of great design and also the boundaries of the human spirit, really. Like, if you're gonna help people heal, like, I really believe in set and setting, and it's my job to figure out what set and setting can really help people heal the best. And I think that also depends on what they're healing from, right? So I think that as it evolves, it's going to become more and more tailored, and that right now we know so little in all reality. I mean, especially cold water therapy, the studies are like so minimal and lacking. Like, it's, people bark up and down all day about it, all these benefits and studies they cite, but my team knows of all the studies, and they're pretty small, and they're limited. So I think that that's going to evolve in a way that's like more specialized to your condition, which is also like the ancient study of pathology. Um, there's a lot of ancient rituals that were prescribed for different problems, different times and different temperatures and different waters. Um, and so I think that it's just going to be more and more, um, I think the set and setting is going to get better. And I think that the science is going to get better. And then the programming for the customer is going to get better.
Yeah, so much potential. The mineral in the water now, if you combine it with sound and waves and bubbles and all of that,
Yeah,
then yeah, combine everything together. There's like a synergistic effect. I'm pretty sure you've
100%.
been eyeing other ship and some of their innovations. For example, the app is pretty cool.
Yep.
What kind of innovation or sensory or healing experience do you have in your innovation pipeline?
Yeah, so we're working on our custom app too. Um, I'm actually here in New York right now. I'm excited to use Othership's new store tomorrow. Robbie Bent's great founder, and they have a great concept, and um, yeah, they're doing a great job innovating. I think that the custom app is going to be really useful. I think I'm really forging the way in pools specifically. We're working really hard on all of our pools to provide incredible pool bathing experiences. So when it comes to innovation in my company, I'm not just thinking about like the customer, but I'm also thinking about our employees and innovating on the employee working experience. And so there's some stuff we're working on there so that our employees can spend more time connecting with our customers and less time engaging in technology. We're definitely working on AI hospitality. um, for booking and online help and stuff, because that's really becoming incredibly good. Again, it takes the phone from ringing in the store, so that the hospitality team member working can be really present in the environment. And I think that that comes through in the experience for the customer.
There you go. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for showing up today, sharing value with us. I'm definitely gonna visit the sauna house anytime I'm near one. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I think the best place to follow Sauna House is saunahouse.com, and then subscribe to our newsletter. If you want to follow me, I'm Andrew_Lachlan on Instagram. I'm not that active. I'm kind of trying to live a tech-free life, but now I'm a founder and everybody loves a founder story. So, um, so now I'm becoming a lot more public than I was previously.